This is All India Radio. Please stand by for our next program. When the Heart Can See. We now bring you an interview with Dr. N. Shravan Kumar, Controller, Pensions, Central Pension Accounting Office, New Delhi. The interviewer is Naveen K. Gupta of All India Radio, Delhi.
Tonight I have Dr. Shravan Kumar, Controller Pensions, Central Pension Accounting Office, New Delhi with me, who is 2009 ICAS batch and, believe it or not, is visually handicapped. Now, Indian civil services success rate is 0.01%. It is one of the world's toughest examinations, which involves excellence on all fronts. And Dr. Shravan Kumar is one such person. He's an example of great inspiration and hope to all of us, those who are visually handicapped as well as those who are visually normal. Welcome to the studios of All India Radio, Dr. Shravan Kumar.
Thank you a lot.
You lost your sight. When did you find that you were losing your sight?
Initially, I have no idea about it when I was going to lose, but around when I was 25 or above, 26 years, it started degenerate very fast, wherein within a year to year and a half, I more or less lost my 95 to 96% of the sight.
The reason behind this?
It's a retinal pigmentation, and that happened a very fast degeneration.
Is it heredity?
They say it's hereditary, but in my case, it's not hereditary one. It's a unique one that I encountered in my life.
How about your childhood? Was it any different from the normal children? Because you are saying that you suffered this retinal degeneration rapidly. So I suppose it was there in childhood also?
In childhood, I had not known about is it a retinal degeneration I'm going to have in future. Around 4 to 5 years, I started wearing my eyeglasses. At that time, I think very few wore eyeglasses into the schools. That gave me a unique look. My doctor used to say professor. So my intention, and he never allowed me to think about what happens in future. So he encouraged me to read and study and play. So I never thought different until I encountered it around in my mid-20s.
And how were the school years with your, batchmates, classmates?
Just as usual, casual for all.
None of them were cruel because children can be cruel?
No. I used to play with all them, the cricket, footballs, badminton, tennis.
You had thick glasses and yet they accommodated you within their ranks?
Yeah, it was not much difficult for me to find the ball to hit hard. So I used to hit hard, very hard.
Did you have it in you at that time that you had to do all that special to prove yourselves in front of able children?
Into childhood, I think I did not thought about that I would be a differently able or specially able person as a PM calls, Divyang. So I never thought that. I thought that in my lifetime I used to have these spectacles with me. So I thought it's not much different. So I just shred it away. Never thought about it.
Teenage years are a very nervous years. Did you not have apprehensions of future in your teenage years?
No. Because I started to plan about my life in, I'm like more like a all-rounder type. I used to venture into all the new things that venture to me. So I started to learn my computers at that age in early 90s. So I thought I had a different plan. Afterwards, I have done many different things. My own ambition was civils, but I started having another mind to go to US also. Okay. So I have done my software courses also. Later on, I changed my line. So I never felt that nervousness. I used to while up with going to friends to movies.
Oh.
And I have a good taste for old black and white movies.
Okay.
So I used to also go for small social service kind things. That voluntary service to others. Not with organizations, but anyway. Anyone who in help, I used to go with my friends, acquaintance, or anywhere, or any other friend.
How were your relations while growing up with your siblings? How did you?
I'm the single child in my family to my parents.
Wasn't that lonely?
Initially, maybe, but later on, I didn't find because my parents gave that support. They were to me like my friends, my siblings. So I never felt that. I do have my cousins, so I had that rapport with my cousins. Most my parents covered that any gap I had in my life.
Did your parents protect you because you were a special child? Did they?
No, no,
Did
no,
they
no.
have apprehensions
No,
about
no,
you?
no. They allowed me to live freely. So that gave me a wide comprehensive view, full 360-degree angle of life. So I have not been hindered nor been abated to venture into anything. So I was free to grow free.
What did your father teach you? What did you specially learn from your father?
To face anything with courage. That was the main thing I learned from him. With courage. Learn every day, experience as a new experience. To be cordial and friendly with everyone. To see everyone as one, like you only. Not to discriminate one or try to point out he's richer or he's poorer to you. Not all these sort of things.
And what about your mommy, your mother?
Mama was very lovely to me. Very lovable mother to me. Though she was working person, senior officer with the state government.
What about your father?
He was with the Department of Telecom with Union Government of India.
Okay.
Both of them never allowed that their job come to me. In between me and them. They gave me their due role to me. And by the way, they were in a senior position, so I could also know the nitty-gritties of government, how it goes at the childhood itself. So it gave me a very different experience. Maybe many of the children may also not have that. I had a friend with parents.
You were growing up where? Your childhood was spent where?
In Hyderabad.
Okay.
A lovable city, very, very fine city. Must visit city for any of us.
Okay. And did your parents have any transfer? Did you move around with them?
My mother was stationed mostly in Hyderabad. At the fag end of her life, she had transferred to other place in the state. My father, in between, he had, but he too did not opt for some promotions and stayed back for me and our family. Mostly for our family and for also me. I did not have to travel because of the transfer, but they are very fond of travel. So they took me all around the India.
Did it ever weigh heavily on you that your father and your mother did not go ahead with their transfers? They sacrificed for you?
I don't think that they are done specially for me. To also have that family life together to cushion me, they might have. But I will be thankful for them a lot for that.
And how about college years? How was it growing in university?
Yeah, I had a full co-education in all my life. So I had good friends. I gelled with friends. I really enjoyed my college life.
You graduated in which subject?
I graduated from in arts, a Bachelor of Arts, Economics, Political Science and Public Admin. And my university was in Political Science, Masters, then MPhil, also in
You mean your MA was in Political Science?
Yeah, first MA was in Political Science, then MPhil in Political Science. Later on I have done my Masters in Economics also.
Okay.
Then I have done my PhD completed.
So you did two MAs?
Yeah, MS.
And what was the reason behind doing two MAs?
Initially, I was interested in political science to look out at the policy front of it. Likewise, for my graduation days, I was also much interested in economics. So I got an opportunity when I started to lose my visions, fast degeneration. I concentrated much on studies.
Okay.
By that way, not to think about all these things. So then I had done my second master's.
And your MPhil was on which subject?
Yeah, that was my first interest into the power sector.
Okay.
In 1990s, our government stepped up that economic reforms process. So I thought that power sector is the key of that. So I started to look out at the reforms that are being initiated into the power sector in 1990s. So I took it as a broad topic for my MPhil dissertation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you followed it up with your PhD in power sector reforms.
Yeah, and I focused much on the restructuring process that is being carried out in our state in Andhra Pradesh, the then unified Andhra Pradesh.
Okay. And how long it took you to earn your PhD?
It about 5 to 6 years. For means I have done the work for it for 6 to 7 years. Literally, I joined in mid 2008 and completed in 2011. I submitted.
Okay.
Means it's in 2.5 years I submitted. But my unending task was from my MPhil to PhD also I focused on power sector a lot in between also.
And you never gave academics further thought as a profession? You never thought that I would like to pursue lecturership or a university don position as a profession?
Initially doing while my MPhil, I opted for JRF to think for funding for PhD or a fellowship later on for eligibility for lecturership. But my actual aim was to enter into the civil services,
And
which was
when-
my childhood ambition.
It was your childhood ambition
Yeah.
to enter into civil services.
Yeah.
So how many attempts you gave?
Initially, I gave 2
Okay.
before and during. Then I took a break. When I joined my PhD, I gave this attempt in 2008, wherein I succeeded.
And what were the optionals you took?
Political science and Indian history.
Dr. Shravan, normally I would not have asked this question, but since you are an exceptionally gifted man with exceptional qualities in you, was it difficult preparing for civil services with the handicap you have?
Okay, I couldn't read by myself at that time, but I had this audio support of cassettes. At that time, cassettes were there. And also my parents who read out for me. So I didn't feel much because I had that earlier experience and the support that I got for audiovisual supports through computer and these tape recorder CDs, and the much support from my parents who immediately used to give a gist of me what I wanted.
But you see, civil services preparation requires all that much research and finding out
Yeah.
facts for yourselves, and so much angst is there, so much anxiety is there, so
Yeah.
much sweat and blood is lost during preparation for civil services.
Yeah,
Didn't you
but-
have that in your heart somewhere that you're trying something very difficult?
No.
People with sight,
No.
like I said, 0.01% acceptance rate.
Yeah, that is there, but I never thought that way. I thought that I'm equally eligible as the other person, and I never thought that there is some challenge in me, some physical challenge that is stopping me, because I had that habit of going through the day-to-day events, day-to-day research that is required for a competitive exam from my childhood, and started to lose my vision also. I never allowed to kept into my mind that I should think about this, what is happening in me should not bog me down. This was I kept it away. That is largely due to my doctor. Now he's no more. He passed away last year. Dr. Shamsundar Prasad is a famous doctor in India also in ophthalmology. And my parents, who together never allowed me to get into my mind that it is something different for me because I'm something different than others as normal. I never thought that I'm not a normal or I'm a specially person.
Did you take coaching or did you take any special classes or any special study help for the preparation?
Yeah, I'm here. Honestly, I say that I went only for my prelims coaching, that too when I was doing my MPhil, but never after I went for a coaching. I prepared from my experience.
And how much you used to put in during the various phases of this examination, like for preparation for prelims?
Daily 8 to 10 hours.
Daily 8 to 10 hours.
Not much more than that.
And during this preparation, you lived a normal life, like watched films and...
Yeah, everything normal. Cricket, though I couldn't know how he is playing, but I know how he plays. Especially I'm a big fan of Sachin. Earlier I see how he plays. I can know how he plays.
Okay.
With the commentary or with the roar of the crowd, I can find it.
Shravan, didn't you ever feel sad or depressed that you lost your sight gradually? You had seen the world in its many resplendent colors, and then slowly and slowly everything went black or dark. Didn't you ever feel sad?
Initially a bit, but not later on.
Why?
Because I have seen the world,
Uh-huh.
and now after.
But to lose that world from your grip,
No.
to lose that world.
No. Initially, only because it happened suddenly, I felt a bit, but not later on. Because I have seen the world, I have known the world, so I can see the world now also. I can perceive the world. I can feel just like that. I can see the world now. You are before me. I can feel that how you are looking at me, how you intend to get the info from me, how you have that enthusiasm and zeal with which you want to know me. So I know that. I do know that while working also, I know that when people across come call me for different help, where now I presently posted, they have a lot of issues. They are from different backgrounds, rural and retired. They come to me, they call me. I know how the one person feels. And I can decode with the person's voice how he feels, it happens.
We'll come to your professional
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your
Yeah, but-
experience as an officer, senior officer in the service of the government later. But what I'm trying to ask you is, you had seen a normal childhood,
Yeah,
you had seen a normal youth,
yeah,
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 and suddenly it just started leaving you.
yeah.
Didn't you ever, sit down and tell yourselves that why is it happening to me? Because I'll tell you why. 90% of the people, because you're not of the 90% of the people, and since we are having this interview, you as an example of a person who has overcome this, huge mountain-like difficulty and emerged successful. I mean, people with all their faculties intact are not able to make it to prelims of, Indian Civil Services. You are a officer of the Indian Civil Services. Did you not let it bog you down that you had become disabled or disadvantaged just sitting at an examination?
Only I told you now, as I said earlier also. Only at the first instance when I felt that it started to degenerate also, I did not give much heed to it. Only when I crossed the 90% limit, only a bit I felt. I told earlier also. Later I didn't allow to bog me down. Just I told that it's a passage of life. I was hinted about this that can happen through my doctor earlier. So as I've been brought in with that idea of that it may happen, but it's told to gain the other abilities that I got with me, the other abilities of sense that I tried to develop with me over the years. That bit of letdown which generally may lead to a depression, I did not allow to bog me down, so I never entered that phase of depression.
And Shravan, when you first joined the training, how did it feel like?
Training in sense my career.
Your profession
In civil
training, yes,
services.
civil services.
The day I joined, I went for the training. There were 50 other trainees, officer trainees there. Every one of them really welcomed me, and with their heart. I felt that, and all the way during my training until now, I feel that each of them still support me. Means support me in sense not to aid me something. The enthusiasm they show to me when they meet me, it's just like that. They do not start treat me like any person having the some different ability, or a person with differently abled person, he requires some special attention, but they just meet me and they just talk to me as we are of the same way, means all equally.
You're controller of pensions right now,
Yeah,
and you have had many senior positions. But like you were telling us earlier, when people come across the desk, you're able to visualize by their voice
yeah,
and by the manner they speak,
yeah,
their personality.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
When a person calls me on a phone also,
Uh,
everyone has anxiety in him.
okay.
He starts telling, generally he tries to explain, some try to convey and some try to, and they may not be able to convey also. Then I try to ask them what's the issue bothering them. Then slowly when I speak to them like as a normal person, I only take the chance to speak to them as a, not as an officer, just as a friend to or a person who is speaking to them. And then when they speak out, then I ask them what's the issue that is bothering him. Then I ascertain some details, and then I can scribble on a big white paper. I keep a white paper with me and a pen. I write in a big legible way, though not collectively into a word, so that I can get read it by my PA or someone later on. Or I can type it on when I have a laptop with me. I will type it because I have that audio software, reading software in it. Or my phone does something sometimes, that also it has a talking one. So I note them. I feel them. If he is so perturbed also, I advise him nothing to be worried. We are here. We will come back to you. And mostly I feel that people, when they come to you with an issue, the more you speak to them, they become more relaxed. Rather than you say that, okay, you told me, I will look into it, and that's all, and you credit the phone, he will not be happy. When you try to speak to him personally, personalized to him, he feels that someone is personally taking interest to him, and he doesn't get bogged into his issue. Then he tells what he is facing, and he seeks resolution of it, and he feels that it shall be resolved while speaking to such a person. And this is the thing I'm also conveying to. I came here just now, just now only 3 months back to this pension accounting office. So now I also trying to tell my people who are dealing with grievance, the section with grievance cell, that you should be more personalized to the requirement of the person calling from other side or one who mails you. Means rather than giving a routine answer.
Do you face any problem in administering your office? Are you able to find it difficult to control your subordinates?
No, not at all.
Uh-huh.
No, not at all.
They listen to you, they obey you.
Yeah, they will.
Is it because you yourselves are a very compassionate and a very kind person and go out of the way to address the problems of the people across the desk?
Yeah, that's maybe the one way. And I try to work with all my other officials in my office, either below me or along with me, as a colleague only. I don't show them that I am a superior officer to you or I have these extra abilities or those. And I find that being much closer to my staff as colleague, I got to learn much new things also.
Okay.
Because everyone has a different facet in him. And then daily I pick up something from anyone of one another. So I learn everything day by day.
When did you get married, Shravan?
2014.
Okay. And tell us about your family.
Now I stay with my parents, my wife and a young child, 2.5-year-old.
Okay. And your wife is, I believe, also professionally trained?
Yeah, she is also professionally postgraduate in business administration.
Okay. She's a housewife?
She's a housewife.
And she has no visual problems?
No visual problem.
So was it an arranged marriage or was it a love marriage?
It's an arranged marriage. My parents selected her. And I'm thankful again to them. They selected a real good wife for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So having a son has made any difference to you as a father?
Lot of a difference.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I really enjoy.
Okay.
Now I feel that I'm seeing again my childhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you earlier was that, with your specialization in power sector reforms, you could have joined a cushy job in World Bank or IMF or a university abroad. Why did you choose Indian civil services?
I thought that entry into the civil services can make a lot of difference to your life as well as to the lot of people in the country, to the society.
Shravan Kumar, I wish you great success. I wish you power. I wish you dreams. May you succeed even to greater heights. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
You were listening to an interview entitled When the Heart Can See with Dr. N. Shravan Kumar, Controller, Pensions, Central Pension Accounting Office, New Delhi. The interviewer was Naveen K. Gupta of All India Radio Delhi. This broadcast came to you from the Delhi station of All India Radio. Drop us a line about our program at englishswdelhi@gmail.com. That is ENGLISHSWDELHI@gmail.com.